Okay, so these promises that you've left unfulfilled, you might have promised the kids that you would do something with them, and you haven't, you just haven't got around to them. Are you going to leave them as unfulfilled promises, or you're actually going to let the people concerned know, and when? So make a point, even if they're those promises to yourself. Are you going to keep beating yourself up, or are you going to reset them, and when? Okay? So point number 6 is, what significant feelings have I not shared with others? And for that matter, feelings towards yourself as well. And these are both the great kind of feelings, and also those others that we're avoiding. And these could include these appreciations personally or also in business. So I'll give an example here. One of my clients is a health practitioner, and he was feeling really unappreciated. Okay, so he felt a few of his clients weren't pulling their weight or following his advice. They were actually happy to stay stuck, really, and they weren't appreciating his efforts when he knew he was helping them. So knowing that, and this is probably a biggie for everyone as well, you have to be the change that you want to see in the other people. I set up a tasking for him as his coach. Now, he was feeling unappreciated, so the task is, where can I appreciate other people? So his actual task was to send out a number of cards each week in appreciation to his most valued clients. You see, he was focused on those just minor few clients he perceived as negative, and not all the other wonderful clients he had. So he did this for the latter part of this year, and the appreciation cards were mainly for new referrals. So he'd never done anything like this before, and he also realised he wasn't doing it in other areas of his life either. He could really ramp up appreciating other people, his wife, his kids, and so on. So not only did he feel fantastic as well as appreciated by sending these cards out, so did his clients. And there was a great element of surprise for them, but even more referrals came in. So, and this week, in fact, which is really exciting, he's having his best week ever. He's got 66 clients coming through, which is up from a previous high of 60, when on average he has 50 through a week. So
oh, wow.
Just checking in and resolving what's underlying in your feelings, all areas have the potential to improve. So
it's funny, isn't it, the way you get upset about something and you find out that it's actually what you're doing yourself. It's like looking in a mirror. You're upset with the other person because they're not doing something, but it's actually you not doing something.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we attract what we focus on. So if we're focusing on those people not appreciating us, guess what? That's exactly what we're putting out, and more of that is what we're going to attract unless we sort it. So could you do more in this area? I'm sure you can. So do you need help? So and as a coach, that's what I do. I help clients explore their present moment so as to design their future.
Well, sometimes you can't see it yourself, can you? That's what I found, is that sometimes you're too close to the problem. It's like with kids sometimes when you're in a pattern. And sometimes you know there's an issue, but unless you speak to somebody outside of the immediate family, or somebody who's not involved in that work situation, somebody who doesn't have that emotion or doesn't want to hurt your feelings, or is frightened to tell you something, sometimes it just really works to have somebody who's independent to the process and the thoughts, I think.
Absolutely, and yeah, that you're so spot on, because you could have a real passion for property or business or particular job aspirations, hobbies, or any other areas, personal, physical, health, spiritual, whatever they are, but often there's those strong feelings or even innuendos and resistance coming from partners, business partners as well, well-meaning friends and family, where your goals are being queried. They're too different, or they just don't seem achievable in your eyes. So having a coach certainly keeps that objectivity and non-judgment coming into it.
That non-judgment is good.
The other thing is, you can have your own strong feelings around money or lack of, your time commitments, health and age concerns, and once again getting back to understanding these core underlying issues around those. Families sort of get involved in the story, friends get involved in the story, and they're only doing these sorts of things to protect you, or they're actually asserting their fears. So what's really important though is to have your own true values around your inspirations and your passions, and learn and understand your power or your lack of power, your purpose, and if you don't have that big picture, the goals you'll set typically will be much harder slog and won't seem like goals at all. So it's one big balanced recipe.
Is it important to have, so for example, when it comes to setting goals, and if you're trying to make goals for somebody else rather than yourself, is that going to be one of those recurring issues that you have come up?
Quite possibly, because if you're making goals for someone else and they're not aligned with their values or even their roles in life, they're not going to be putting them at the forefront of what they want to be doing. They're probably doing them out of being forced to do them. They're not. It's not coming from their heart. It's a should do.
So then you've got you've got two areas of problems then, haven't you? So, you know, they're resenting because they don't really want to do it, and you aren't giving yourself the goal, you're trying to give it to somebody else. So I can understand where that can be a bit of an awkward situation in a relationship. So if you've got two people and they want to, you know, be moving ahead in say business or real estate or whatever, is it a good idea for them to both have some sort of help to do that, or is it something they need to do individually? What's your advice on that?
Absolutely. It's fantastic to have the help and the objective help, because there's still going to be emotions running when you're doing something together as a partner, be it a business partner or personal relationship partner. So the trick is to have your personal goals each, and then if you've got a joint venture with your partner, with your business partner as well, a joint business together, goals need to be set around that and separate to your own personal goals.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's really important to have, especially in those joint goals, because if you have a value in one area and your partner has a value in another area and they're not aligned or they're not understood, if someone's putting too much energy into one area, it's going to trigger the other one. So you either have to accept it or discuss it or whatever goes on there. So it's another big can of worms, if you like.
So it gets back to the six critical things you need to do to clear first, and one of those might be to sit down with your partner and work out, like, okay, we didn't achieve this, or I didn't achieve this, and as you say, clear that unbroken promise or issues that were still unresolved, so that you can clear all that, ready for setting the new goals in the right way between you.
Correct. So I'll give you an example of a relationship. But this is one of my clients. She's been working through a relationship that's not working. So that's one of her incompletions for this year. Okay, so looking at the 6 points, there's a tick for each of the 6. Clearly there's a tick for each of the 6. Now she's actioning them. Now she's decided that she wants out. It's taken a long time to build up to this, several years in fact. So we're now to an action plan. She's drawn a line in the sand for herself at this point, that, and in fact the month's been set already for next year. The finances are being sorted from her point of view, and living arrangements for her children and herself. And now I'm guessing that this isn't really something generally put on a goal list, but getting it out of your head and making a plan on paper as to how this is even going to happen. Getting back to decluttering, it declutters the mind, and especially something like this that's so emotionally charged, it's really important to still be consciously choosing what you do rather than reacting with all this emotion, because it's a really hard time. So, but in turn, what happens by firstly having the help, I guess, from a coach, but also going through articulated steps, once this is resolved, in the near future she's going to get some real clarity of what goals she will make. So consequently, for the last few years there have been minimal goals and a real lack of balance in those goals. So they help in all areas of your life.
And you'd think that, you know, even though it might seem like a negative in some ways, where you might be thinking, okay, well, this relationship is ending, on the other hand, if you can get that clarity, and it's probably going to help your current partner as well, because you can move along with a different type of relationship rather than the one that you've been struggling with that's not working. So it may even help that, and obviously the children.
Yeah, and it's perception as to whether it's good or bad. It's, okay, the wife's perception might be that it's good, the husband's might be that it's bad. As a coach, we don't have a perception on it. We stay right in the middle because it's neither good nor bad. It's just is. It's just a relationship going in a different direction. So we don't judge. And that's that. If we can all get into that position of non-judgment, it's like money. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it evil? Is it abundance? It's just money. So now, covering those 6 points, that'll be really helpful to getting some clear guidelines to make some of those less tangible goals going forward. So what I'd really like to cover as well is what happens with those goals that aren't crossed off your list. So that's something worth looking at, because how many people get to the end of the year and don't even check the goal list, they just make some new ones next year. So how much weight's really in their goal list? So,
and that's obviously going to hold you back, because if you feel that you haven't achieved something, that's going to affect your confidence, isn't it?
Totally, and you'll be less likely to even bother with the list next year. I'm sure we've all done New Year's resolutions, and we start off for a couple of weeks and then just give up. They haven't been set correctly in the first place, and I've got a few other points around resolutions as well, but that's just as an example. If they're not set correctly, you won't achieve, and then you are really likely to not bother with them. Make up excuses as to why goals are just a load of.
Well, perhaps we'll do that with a separate webinar, so that we can cover that one in a bit more detail. Is that okay with you?
Yes, that sounds terrific. We can do that prior to perhaps working on setting our goals going forward with some real clarity.
I think that's a great idea, because I think it's surprising how much is in there. We had those 6 questions that we sent through in an email or they've been able to download, and I think that takes a bit of thinking about. So I'd probably be good for the audience to have a think about that, and then we'll talk about the goals, and then about how we can set new goals for 2013. And is that okay with you, Denise? We get you back again?
Yes, that sounds like it could be quite easily arranged.
Well, that's the good thing about your type of work. You don't have to be with people in person. You can do that over the phone and on Skype. Actually, while I'm on that, there may be some people who they've gone through those 6 things and they've realised that there's a number of issues that they need to resolve. And it is difficult to do it on your own, because you're judging yourself with all those limiting beliefs. And if you're talking to other people who are your friends and relatives, as we said, a lot of the times they've already got their judgments, or you might not want to share some of your stuff with them. So if anybody, I know it's coming up for Christmas, and it will be post-Christmas by the time we get this to them, but is it okay with you if somebody would like that you could actually spend a bit of time with them, say no obligation and no cost, to give them a bit of your time? How would you feel about that?
Well, this is just such an important area, and if we can all help each other move forward, why wouldn't you? So I'm happy to offer a free 30-minute analysis session, I guess we can call it, to keep you on track and moving forward, and perhaps to look at some of those areas where you do feel blocked.
I mean, I was quite amazed at that, that time we had together. I know that was a couple of hours, but, there were some things that came up that I didn't even know they were still an issue. But, until you realise what some of those things are, you really can't move forward. I wonder why it's so frustrating. I'm working hard, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Why is this not happening the way I'd planned? So it's really interesting to uncover some of those things. And I know you don't even know what they are, because we didn't talk about them specifically. That's what I liked about it. You don't have to go through that content stuff.
No.
It's just the fact that it brings it to my awareness. And it would be really good if, other people, there may just be, 1 or 2 little things that are on that stopping them getting forward, and they really need to get past it without having the judgment from other people that they know, or who don't want to tell them the truth even because they're frightened to upset them.
Sure.
All right, well, we'll give them, we'll use that same email address that we'd used prior for people to send in questions. So if you'd like to get 30 minutes of time with Denise, one-on-one, very confidential, no obligation, and it won't cost you anything. Send an email to NYNM, that's for New Year, New Me, NYNM, at rachelbarnes.com.au, and Denise will get that information, and then as long as you include your telephone number and your first name, that's all she'll need, so that she can give you a call and you can schedule a time, and then you guys can just have a quick chat one-on-one and clear any of those issues, or work out what those issues are, which may be the first step, so that you can start to move forward, because I'd really like you to do that before we start moving on to cleaning up the goals from 2012 and starting to place the new ones for 2013. So are you, you're sort of free Christmas, New Year's time, are you, Denise?
Yes, we're not going away this year. We've got people coming this way, but we can fit in some times around.
Okay,
so
great. Well, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate that. We've gone through quite a bit, and it's quite a lot to get your head around, I know. So you might want to listen to this audio 2 or 3 times to actually get some of the points. And as Denise said, we'll make sure that you've got those 6 questions to ask yourself, just in case you didn't get the email or you can't place it. We'll provide a download, and you'll get that 30 minutes if you'd like to by just sending that email to nynm@rachelbarnes.com.au. Thanks, Denise. We'll talk again very soon.
Beautiful. You're more than welcome.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.